The bandwidth for this episode of the AR-15 podcast is sponsored by the Firearms Radio Network. Firearmsradio.tv.
Welcome to episode number 122 of the AR-15 podcast. I'm your host, Reed Snyder, and with me tonight are my co-hosts, Anthony Hardy and JW Rand. This is the podcast about your favorite black rifle. This show is for you, whether you're building your first AR or you've been building ARs for years. There's something we can all do to take our black rifle to the next level. So guys, how's everybody doing?
Not bad, not bad.
Yeah, I've been doing pretty well here.
Good. Anybody been able to get out to the range?
Yes, I know JW has. He's always out at the range.
Try to.
Well, I only ask because I've been sequestered behind a calculator and a library of IRS tax forms for the last several months, so I'm itching to get out and get some trigger time myself.
Yeah.
We start off with recognizing that it is Brownells who helps make this show possible, so we want to remind you not to forget that Brownells, with their 100% lifetime satisfaction guarantee, is there for you anytime you have a problem. Like when you can't remove the taper pins from your new barrel to slip off the front side base and you now have to find a new barrel. So, with that, guys, have either of you signed up for a Brownells Edge program?
You know, I haven't yet. I really haven't been shopping for much lately, kind of since, I don't know, maybe a month or two ago. Things have kind of been buying some ammo, but that's about it. I might need to put an order in here for some more reloading parts. I just picked up one of those power...
Starting to get plentiful.
Yeah, one of those like power powder dispensers. It was on Devore for a really good price. And so figured I'd give that a try. I've been doing a bunch of 308 loading lately and see if that helps as far as accuracy.
Well, you know, I got myself a Dillon 550. Unfortunately, nice. Dillon doesn't actually go through Brownell, so I've been a little distressed. Anyway, yeah. I have signed up for the Brownells Edge program, and it is an awesome deal. It's provided me a great deal of comfort and relief when it comes to shipping. And because I tend to ship in very small quantities, and you know, in terms of 2 or 3 pins, 3 or 4 springs, shipping really does kill me. So I'm real happy with what I've done. But we want to ask that if you do shop for some of your AR-15 parts at Brownells, that you do so by going to our podcast website link at ar15podcast.com/parts. And when you do so, you help us help you get more great content like we always try to do. So guys, tonight we have lined up a special guest, and when we get back from the break, I will interview Pete Brownell. So everybody, stay tuned, and we'll be right back. All right, listeners, we're back, and tonight's special guest, Pete Brownell, is with us tonight from Brownells, and we are really excited to have you on, Pete. You know, you guys have been really gracious. You've sponsored us and supported us, and we want to give the listeners an opportunity to just find out what Brownells and the Brownells family is all about.
I'm glad to be here, so thanks for inviting me.
Well, you're very welcome. Pete, tell me, can you define Brownells and how you guys view Brownells for the listeners? I mean, who and what is Brownells?
Wow. Well, there's the things that we give in the elevator speech. We're taught how to do these things, but let me give you a more intimate answer. My grandpa started a gunsmith supply company about 76 years ago now, and it was really out of necessity to find all the things that a gunsmith of that time, 1939, would need to make sure that firearms really were operational in the field, right around really before World War II, right during World War II, the beginning stages of it. So it was a job that he started out of his own garage, like many gunsmiths start, and that's how he started Brownells. And it's grown into today being the largest supplier of any gun part out there, from springs to detents to levers to barrels to actions from your wheel guns to your semi-automatic pistols to AR-15s. So any part out there that you need to maintain or fix your firearm, any tool that a gunsmith or you may need to do any home gunsmithing, cleaning material, a lot of ammunition, almost every kind of ammunition you can find, we sell that. Reloading components, we do a lot of emergency survival gear. So that would be water, food, supply, tents, power, storage, those types of things as well. Goodness sakes, what am I guessing? Archery, we do some archery products. So it's anything that if you're out there pulling the trigger, and if you're a hunter, a competitor, a law enforcement officer, military person, our government, our NATO government friends out there, and you're pulling the trigger, we have everything you need to maintain your firearm right there at either your home or in your depot. So it's all the above, everything about firearms. And we're pretty serious about, we're pretty serious about making sure that you get the right thing in your hands, do the job the right way.
Well, so tell me, was your grandfather a gunsmith, or was he just an enterprising entrepreneur?
You know, it really took both. He would call himself a gunsmith first. He started as the hometown gunsmith here in Montezuma, Iowa. And gosh, just frankly, his first gunsmithing job was for a colonel in the World War II in our Army, in U.S. Army, back in 1937. And the man just died really about, it's 15 years ago. And he brought that first bluing job back to Brownells now that it had really 300,000 square foot of warehouse space, and kind of commented how it's changed from my dad's bedroom. So he started as a gunsmith. Like every gunsmith starts just tinkering and helping his buddies out, and it kind of blossoms into a business. And from the skills that he had, my grandpa, as a writer, he could describe products and process and little how-to help for his friends, his other gunsmith friends out there, to help them do a better job. His mission really was to professionalize the gunsmith trade, not just through making products available, because that was difficult back in the day. You had to send by rail, or frankly, by horseback, your Winchester back to Winchester to get it fixed, or you'd send it to a higher end gunsmith. And what he wanted to do is bring all of the products that Winchester had at those locations back to a big warehouse. Back then it was the kitchen table, and allow his buddies to order that right directly to it to get their jobs done in their gunsmith shop. So then he started to create tools. Some of the things we take for granted today, like glass bedding, my grandpa helped invent that. Cold bluing, grandpa helped invent that. Now the things that happen today in the gunsmith shop, my grandpa helped and was instrumental with a group of people of that era to develop those skills and that knowledge. He was a prolific writer. He could write instructions, and we still use some of them today, and you can tell the difference. No offense there, but his stuff is pretty good, and it's still very lyrical and very informative, and it's just easy reading. So he was a fantastic writer. Tie those two things together, and there was a catalog.
Wow. Now, I understand that after the war ended, I know Trinidad was one, but there were a number of gunsmithing schools that were opened up across the country. Was that a kind of a golden era of gunsmiths? I mean, you had so much interest in firearms, so many men coming back that may have never held one, who came back being comfortable sleeping with one, and all of a sudden everybody is an avid. Is that kind of a period where Brownells really took off, or were you guys? Tell me about that, Tony.
Yeah, so you're on to something. How we had, my goodness, what was it? 35% of every male in the United States participated in World War II. So we had a lot of people coming out that were, to your point, real familiar with firearms, fixing them in the field. They knew what worked, what didn't work. We also had all those weapons coming back and being decommissioned and brought home to be fired. And that's when we started to have a lot of the competitions we look at today started to form up. And we look at them and call it like Camp Perry, for example, really started to blossom with some of the precision rifle competitions, the pistol competitions, all born out of everybody that came out of the World War II era. There was a whole bunch of people that were interested in the firearm of the time, which was those that were decommissioned from World War II. Now, everybody that would shoot a Grand would tell you that it needs a lot of work to make it really shoot right and have us make that into a precision rifle. And that's where my grandpa's skill set of developing product ideas and tools and being able to describe that to his friends really started to flourish. And that's where we had our first growth kick, was right there, right around the 45, 46, 47. And the catalog expanded quite a lot, focusing in on the Grand, on, oh gosh, a lot of those weapons that were used in World War II, those semi-automatic rifles more than anything else. And the 45 started to take off then as well,
Right.
Which was the pistol that everybody wanted to own, was that 45, because it reminded us of all those that didn't go and those that followed. The World War II vets, we honored those people real well. So wanted to look and act and be able to do the things that they did. And that 45 represented that whole culture of kind of that maverick soldier that we kind of still honor today. So the 45 took off, and a lot of those secondary market producers that were young back then that started off in competition, like Ed Brown, Bill Wilson, they were born about the end of war, but their skill set as a young competitor with the 45 started to really resonate with the next generation of gun users and gun competitors. So Bill Wilson, Ed Brown, I can remember the conversations that my dad were having with those two well-known brands today about, hey, you can, if you sell us the parts, maybe we can help cover some of your production costs while you make your custom guns. And that worked, and it worked well. So it's been a great partnership from some of these great brands we have today. Bushmaster, DPMS came a little bit later, Vietnam era, outcroppings. And again, those people, when they started off making quality guns in their garages, like Ed Brown did, Bill Wilson did, and they grew their businesses, DPMS, Randy Luth, Bushmaster grew through some of the channels that we produce. So, and allow customers to buy all those products. So it's been a great run, helping young entrepreneurs get product to market, helping build their brands with them. They definitely do the yeoman's work here. The deep Magpul is another one right after our desert conflicts there. We had a team guy come with a whittled piece of wood, said, "What do you think of this?" And we said, "Oh, that's awesome. Can you produce these things?" And he said, "I think so." And now you have one of the more well-known brands out there with Magpul. Again, something that when we see a good product out there and it has merit, we try to bring it to market. So all of our customers, from the competitor to the hunter to the military soldier or police officer, has a chance to use and have access to it. Still the same philosophy of my grandpa years ago.
Well, that kind of leads me to another question. So obviously your grandfather had a family. So when did your dad get involved in the business?
Well, he would argue that he helped start the business because he would have been the second child, and that's when my grandpa got serious about being a provider for the family right there. So he moved my dad out of his crib and started to use that space as his first gunsmithing area. Was right there in my dad's room way back in '39. So my dad and the business are the exact same age. But he really came back after his time, right after Korea and before Vietnam as a naval officer. He came out of the Navy, and I think '61 is when he came into the business and started to take the business from a company that adds maybe 7 products a year to a company that now adds 1,800 products a year. And
Wow.
and what's different about that time era is right around that Vietnam, the AR-15 came in 1911, really got its stride in being able to be customized. And all those secondary products and product lines right around that Vietnam and post-Vietnam era, the Ed Browns, the Bill Wilsons, the Bushmasters, there was a lot of other people that were making those secondary products. The 1022 started to get its stride on customization. He started to bring those, my dad started to bring those into the business and make those products available and helped make those brands more widely known to a lot of these gunsmiths out in the marketplace. And if you really think about it, as an end user, and I'll include myself as somebody who goes out and hunts and shoots and competes, I get a lot of my knowledge. If I wasn't in the business, I get a lot of my knowledge from shows like this, but most importantly, I get it from the gunsmith shops out there. So we knew that the biggest influencers in the marketplace are going to be that local gun person, that local gun shop. And that was something that my grandpa started, my dad really understood real well. And I came to appreciate during my 20 years now. My grandpa started it by saying, show me a town without a gunsmith and I'll show you a town without guns or without shooting. And he was true. I mean, think about the areas that don't have gunsmiths. Take a look at, say, Chicago. There's no gunsmiths there. You have the wrong kind of guns in Chicago. You don't. So now that they're allowing gunsmithing to happen and gun shops to open up, you're getting the right kind of influence in that town.
Right.
And we see that today as the nature of society has changed to be more regulatory. The burdens of kind of the social burdens of responsibility, they land on the gunsmiths and the gun shops desk to help train their local group on wise and safe use of firearms. So we try to provide them more and more products. And that's what my dad knew way back when, that give them as much as possible, enough knowledge, enough product, so they can serve the custom needs of their local marketplace. And that's a tradition we followed. Only thing I've really added is the web, which allows it to go all over the place like this show.
Well, so tell me about your tenure. You said you've been with the company 20 years now. And, just, personally from my professional experience, family businesses very often have trouble kind of making that transition from, the founder to the second to the third generation. And it looks like you guys have avoided those pitfalls.
Yeah, there's a saying that says rags to riches to rags, 3 generations. And, it proves out more times than not. And hey, it's not easy working for family. I still look at my dad as that tyrannical 35, 45-year-old that was telling me I couldn't take the car out after midnight. And he still looked at me as that 18-year-old guy who would be sneaking out, driving the car all over the place at midnight. So we had to get through those dynamics of how individual we were and how much we've changed from those days, from a father-son relationship to more of a business partner relationship. And it's not easy. And rags to riches to rags proves out when you can't make that transition, when you still think of your dad, in this case, my perspective, as dad, not as boss. And when the boss says, here's how you need to look at it, he's not saying, you dirty little kid, quit stealing my keys. He's saying, I want the business to grow. And this time we have 500 employees. You got 500 families to think about, and quit being so damn selfish. So when you get through those types of things that keep your business from growing, keep you growing as an individual, keep you from growing as an individual, you start to look at the business as a provider of opportunity for everybody, not just for the family generation that's supposed to be in charge. And when you break through that, and I give this recommendation to any family business, is that you're there to provide wealth and opportunity for all your employees, not just you, not just dad or the generation ahead of you, but all people in your business. And when you can click and look at the world that way, all those father-son, in this case, problems and discussions that you should have had years ago, they fall by the wayside because you have more important things to worry about, which is everybody working with you and for you. So think of that when you think about how difficult it is to work with your parents or work with your son or daughter, because it's bigger than just you. And when you make that generational change and you make that thinking about how it's bigger than you, it allows growth to happen.
Well, absolutely. I actually, my law partner is my father, who is nearing retirement. But yes, I've been through all of those stages. So, Pete, tell me, as you were getting to a point where picking a future was, within your sights. Were you a part of Brownells in a meaningful way as a young man, as a teenager, or did you go a roundabout way and find yourself in the middle of Brownells and decide this is where your home ought to be?
No, I didn't. I went to school, got out of Montezuma is a town of 1,200 people. And I couldn't wait to really stretch my wings. And that meant that I traveled 60 miles away to Iowa City. Not really a stretch. And so I ran away from small town to experience the larger community. And from there, so best 5 years of my college career was spent there. And from there, I actually worked for a construction company as a subcontractor, elevators, escalators, those types of projects, taught me how to work. I wasn't in the field, but I was managing the sales and the construction phase of some of the big projects. Miami Airport was a big project of mine down when I lived down in Miami. Really got to know the big city. Went out to San Francisco and did some projects out in out in the Bay Area, so I understand California. And then it was a family business. It was a fifth generation family business, Montgomery Elevator at the time. And they came in and were purchased by a very large organization. And we went from the main focus of a family to a line item for a company that builds ships for countries. So we became a very small part. And I saw the transition from what a family-owned business could do to what a very large corporation does. And I looked around and I said, so that was 10 years into that career, and it was fun. Spent time at South Beach, spent time in San Francisco when San Francisco was a Silicon Valley and growing, and when South Beach was going all upscale. So I saw the development of two critical areas of our U.S. experience, church that time, but I saw how a company has a social responsibility to its employees and to its communities. And not saying that Kone was the company that bought it was wrong. It was just different. And I realized that if you were going to make an impact on people's lives, you needed to do it with the things you could control. And I thought that a family business was the way to do it. Then just so happens that I had this nice little family business back in Montezuma, Iowa, town of 1,200. So it was at that moment my dad was saying, well, is any of my kids going to come back and run this thing? And kind of like, well, no, I better position it to be sold. And this was back in 96, 95. And I said, well, time out a second. Let's have a serious discussion. Let me interview for a job with you. So I had to go through the interview process and had to be vetted, and came in at a marketing director. So at that time, we only had one director, and that was me. We had other people in marketing, but I had to learn how to do catalog at the time. Growing up by my career in construction during the heyday of Silicon Valley, I kind of heard of this thing called the web, and we came out. Actually, my wife, who was my bride to be, we hatched a plan to open up Brownells.com because my dad didn't necessarily believe that these crudgy old gunsmiths no one's going to look at the web. I don't look at the web, therefore no one's going to look at the web. So we had Brownells.com for a full year before my dad realized we had a website, because he wasn't going to make that jump. So we had to prove it. So I was brought up with, you've got to prove your idea and argue for it. And I knew it was the right thing to do. So as I took my experiences on construction management and sales, and all my buddies out in Silicon Valley were saying, you've got to have a website. It's the wave of the future. And so in 97, we launched Brownells.com. And in 98, my dad realized we had a website. Wow. And that's what really opened the door for some of the bigger growth spurts we've had.
Well, so right now, are you as big as you want to be? Is there more growth ahead of Brownells that you guys are going to be comfortable with?
Yeah, we are just wrapping up the expansion of a 200,000 square foot distribution center in Grinnell, Iowa, 20 miles away. We're still in Iowa, still kept a footprint here. And that has some space to grow into. So we're going to continue to expand. We've expanded into Europe. So a lot of the European customers have the same desire for small parts, but there's a regulatory hurdle to get over that kind of constricts or restricts through regulations, export licenses, import licenses. The State Department gets involved in the things that we sell here and in the business that we're in. The State Department regulates the majority of it, and that's it's not regulated by state, is regulated by the Commerce Department. So there's a hurdle to get over to Europe. So we found a good way to get to Europe. So we're growing in that area. We have a relationship with a company called Crow Shooter Supply, which is a wholesaler. That's the companies that supply shooting ranges, the Shields, the Cabela's, the Dick's, the Bass, the wholesale channel, and that business is growing pretty well. And we also have Sinclair International, which is precision rifle, and the most recent acquisition was Gamel or Gamaliel. It's a company that focuses in on the precision shotgun or competitive shotgun sports, and they do a fantastic job. And in all of those acquisitions, what we were really buying was not just the market presence, but we were going back to that philosophy of the family-owned business. We wanted companies that exemplified the values that we look as very important in our industry, which are family values. And we look for people that really exemplified that. And in every one of those acquisitions, we got great people that came along with it. That was almost a mandatory. That it's not just, here's what looks great on the balance sheet and the income statement. It's here's what these people exude as far as their values. So it's been fantastic to do that. It's been fantastic to help grow their business as well as ours and help all the employees involved have a great, safe, well-lit place to have some opportunity for their own growth. So yeah, we're still growing, and it's more product. It's more product lines. So this emergency survival gear, that's a product line that's starting to grow real well. Archery, we're still waiting for the big breakout. But yeah, we're going to grow. We've got other opportunities that kind of continue to line up that fit kind of that values in small business and distribution model. And we're looking for them every day.
Well, that's awesome. Let me ask you a question, Pete. So you mentioned the desert conflicts. I think that the bulk of those young men and women who are involved are being cycled back to the States. I think we're going to probably maintain a footprint for some time. But do you think that wave of men and women is going to provide the same driving force that those returning veterans from World War II, the ones that came back from Korea, the ones that came back from Vietnam, are going to provide today, that those veterans provided then, driving the sport, driving interest, driving growth?
Yes, I do. It may not be to the same magnitude because a statistic, 1.5% of the population of America, that's still 32 to 40 million people, however you count America's population, be somewhere in there, were involved in the military during that 10-year time. And as you rotate that number through, you're probably looking at about 70 million total people. That's a big population base in the United States. Back in Vietnam or in World War II, it was 35%, but that's still, back when we were really 100 million people back then, that's still 35 to 40 million. So today there's more people than there were back then coming out of the military. So there's a big base of people coming in, and we see it right now. And what we see is that it's gender balanced. So we see a lot of young female people coming into the sport, just like their counterparts from that same conflict, military and that conflict zone. They're AR shooters that are excellent. And we're sponsoring a couple of them. There are pistol shooters that I would never want to shoot against because they would just clean me off the range. They're on par. There is, to me, I don't look at, this is one great sport where the gender differences are minimal, if not non-existent. and it's fantastic to see an emerging group where we can have equality out the range. It's fantastic to see, and that also opens up the doors to the young women and the daughters out there and the grandmas out there who didn't feel like it was their place to raise their hand and say, hey, I need some help, because there's people just like them that are leading the path and leading the way. And we see that in the ever increasing amount of women getting involved in personal protection classes, getting their first personal carry permit, getting out for Girls' Day at the range, and shoot like a girl really means something this time around. It's fantastic to see that. So that's one good benefit out of a lot of these retiring or coming back to the stateside vets that we see. And they bring a fantastic dynamic to this industry, one that I really enjoy. And we also see a lot of the AR-15 creativity coming out of the military people coming back and saying, here's what works, here's what didn't, because they really test that stuff. They test it hard. So it's a great dynamic to see.
Well, so, the show itself does not focus on political issues as a rule of thumb. Does Brownells as a company step forward for its customers, for the gunsmiths, for the industry, and try to get involved in a meaningful way, or do you stand behind the kind of the front running entities that do that as far as the political side of things go?
Well, we do both. There's I would say 3 major organizations out there, starting with the NRA, of which I am the first vice president of the NRA, in line to be the president of the NRA in about 2 years. So we stand up there shoulder to shoulder with Wayne LaPierre and Chris Cox sometimes, and most definitely as the leadership chairs in the NRA. We stand there to support them, make sure that they have what they need to get the job done to protect a personal right to own firearms. So we're definitely involved in the NRA, and we've helped fund some scholarships and some foundation work that helps youth get a good experience with firearms. So the big youth programs out there, we want youth to understand what safety is, what respect and responsibilities of firearm ownership is all about. So the Brownell Foundation has done that. So monetarily, we do that. We monetarily support law enforcement training because we want to have a safe America, and we feel that an armed America is a safe America. We also believe that a well-trained America, both civilians and law enforcement, is a safe America. So we stand behind that, both with our dollars and with the positions we hold in NRA. NSSF, which is the National Shooting Sports Foundation, which is really the one for industry people. We stand up with them as well and help support their mission on making sure that the commerce in firearms is free from burden. And that would be, and we kind of work with Choke Point and the NRA, Choke Point, NSSF, trying to get that lined up, trying to help with the NSSF's presence and the NRA's presence. Some of the ATF overreach things, like this green tip, was one of those things that those 2 organizations jumped on right away. What other issues are coming up? There's one right now about these international hunters. If you're going to Canada right now, there's a whole mess of things that need to happen, which you didn't have to jump through before. Actually, you have to become a felon to do it correctly, according to the State Department. And we're trying to unravel those types of, there's some kernel of why the State Department or the Commerce Department or Customs may ask these questions, or ATF may do it, but sometimes their deployment is wrong. I think the green tip, absolutely wrong. I think this export travel with personal firearms, something of interest is there, but I think they deployed it wrong. So those 2 organizations try to help, and we're involved in them trying to understand how to best get the laws so we can still be free Americans, not have a burdensome commerce hurdles to jump through. The attacks on lead and hunting and access to hunting and aren't burdensome. So if we want to go out and shoot, we want to go out and hunt, we don't have all these hurdles to jump through. And here's an example in Missouri for hunters. if you didn't have an orange sticker on your barrel as you looked down this, it said, "Remember to be safe." That was a violation down there, and DNR could grab they could charge you. That's what it was for, but they could seize all those firearms. So the NRA got and said, "Hey, look, that's ridiculous. That's just overburdensome type of law." So we also work with DNR so they understand how their actions impact hunting, because it's a big. You got to remember, that's the other thing we work with is personally, locally, Pheasants Forever is a great one for access to land, but also the Sportsman's Caucus, which to help legislatures understand the intent of keeping America free, of being able to go hunt, to be able to go shoot, and how public lands play into that, and how their policies sometimes hamper that, or how they can make a change in some of the rulemakings to open that up. So yeah, we get up there shoulder to shoulder with a lot of the people in the industry to make sure that every one of you guys and girls have a free America to exercise your Second Amendment.
I think that's pretty awesome.
That's a long speech, but we really stand up and do that. Not just me, but everybody in the business. And I can also say many, many people in the industry do as well.
Well, the listeners who I guess are not local to you don't realize that you have a walk-in facility now, right?
Yeah.
And,
well, yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, go ahead and tell us about that. I mean, this is part of the move, right?
Yeah, the part of the move. We sell to anybody that has a firearm. So consumers, hunters, again, buy from us. And there's a lot of pickup. I mean, just walk in and pick up your order, and you can pre-order. You can order right there at the door. And the thing is, you get to sit down and go through your problem with a tech, a gunsmith. I think we have 14 gunsmiths that work for us now full time, and they don't do gunsmithing, but they help you figure out what the right product is, what the right process, and they help you troubleshoot your situation. What are you looking for? And here's really the best solution for you. So we try to customize the whole experience. And the walk-in in Montezuma was just really kind of a small room. And what we want to do is expand it into more of an experience. So you could come in and almost browse the ammunition, the guns, the optics, some of the accessories. Here's some how-to things you need to think about. So we have almost a learning center. It's a showroom learning center where eventually, not right away, we're going to get all the digital things you can to help you get your project done or identify what you need for your home gunsmithing project or your cleaning project or your survival project, but then also to have some classes where you understand how to use this stuff, maybe in the field or on the bench, how to even how to tear down an AR-15. Sometimes that's a little intimidating. So we just want to give people here's how you do it and do a little hands-on. So this retail space is not going to be jam-packed with clothes. It's going to be jam-packed with education and jam-packed with how-tos, because that's really what we're about, is making sure that you have the right things in your hand when you go out to hunt or shoot, or we want to be pretty serious about what firearms safety is about and what firearms cleaning is about and what fun is about. So That's what this place is about.
Now, do you think, or are you willing to go on record as saying that this is something that you might begin to expand across the country? That you might have brick and mortar facilities in other cities where your patrons can go? And I say this as a man from Texas.
Yeah,
it's a pretty far piece to go to visit my favorite gun supply store. Then
here's an interesting project that I think got us kicked off on opening up a store. 5 years ago, we had a project with Trinidad to have a third year to their 2-year program, and that was about understanding how to do business as a gun shop. And it dawned on us that maybe the best place to have that is going to be right here in Montezuma, or in Grinnell in this case. So there was a local community college that opened up a gunsmithing 2-year program. And what we want to do, to your point, is bring in many of these recent grads to understand the retail aspect of gunsmithing and the gun shop, to train them how to interface with customers. work with the local gunsmiths and in the same pool of young graduates, so they understand how to do gunsmithing for as an ongoing career. And then we take those people and we place them in Texas. So a Texas gunsmith or gun shop has an already broken in gunsmith or a retail desk, because it's the learning curve is great in gunsmith. You can't go from 0 to hero in 3 years. It takes a while. And we want to make sure we provide that student or that potential new gunsmith or retail desk person with as broad a knowledge as possible and a broad experience as possible. So when they go out to Texas or Colorado or Maine, that they're going to be a producer for that gun shop right away. So we're not going to have Brownells East, Brownells West, or Brownells Texas, sorry. But we want to make sure that we have a well-trained gunsmith that can go out there and be a positive addition to your local gun shop. Because again, it's your local gun culture is really being impacted and directed by your local gun shop. And we want to make sure that they're really driving good quality safety messages out there, good quality work out there, and that they're producing a good experience for that hunter or that competitor or that self-protection person in that shop. If you have successful gun shops, all boats will rise.
Right.
That's one aspect. The other aspect is we want to learn how to do better, what it's like to be one of our customers. So this shop is independent. How is it to do business with Brownells? And when the boss of this show is also the boss of that show, and there's a problem, it's going to get worked out. So hopefully the experience to our gunsmith and our gun shop customers out there improves. We also want to learn with what works. So it drives sales, and then we want to share that and make it less expensive, I should say, or more productive for our gun shops to have this body of knowledge that they can take for use in their own shops, which would be like the videos, the how-tos, all that stuff that makes the experience, a Brownells experience. If we can allow a gun shop to do that, no matter where they are in the world, and they can benefit from it, that rises all boats. So again, I love the small independent American dream story, because that's how my grandpa started. And the more we can provide that out there in the field, the better for America. So that's why we're doing this.
Well, that brings up a question. I've got an in-law who married a favorite great aunt, and he's an outfitter and a gunsmith, a graduate of Trinidad. And in a discussion out in a cabin a while back, he was lamenting that the gunsmithing programs are closing. They're becoming scarcer. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you've seen? Is that something that you worry about?
What I hear, I see that the gunsmithing schools maybe I'll counter that a bit. There's gunsmithing schools out there that are popping up, but the level of gunsmithing that's being taught is different. Where we were working on fitting a gun stock to an action, we were glass bedding it. That's where my grandpa made his name, was in glass bedding. The techniques for manufacturing are so much better today that the tolerances are extremely tight. So instead of custom fitting, where you need to understand form, function, and how to get things to work in the gun shop, the manufacturing techniques are improved such that it's more about diagnosing the problem and understanding where to get that replacement part and what kind of replacement part is going to get the job done. And then there's just a little bit of custom fitting instead of taking a piece of metal and cutting off a hammer out of that. You don't do that as much anymore. So it's changed drastically from back when Trinidad started. It was a custom rifle shop. Now there's Pennsylvania School of Trade, or Pennsylvania does that real well. Trinidad's high-end education does that real well, but that's about it. Everybody else is worrying about form, function, learning how to be productive in the gun shop today, and not to diminish the work that's being done out there by any means, because it's still phenomenal, but it's more about how to custom fit and get that jump start through places like Brownells and other parts suppliers, You got that jump start because you have all this available material to you. You don't have to start from a chunk of wood off a tree and a chunk of metal anymore. And so you don't learn heat treating as well as you did. You don't learn how to ditto a stock anymore.
Right.
You learn the step beyond that, and which is not necessarily less gunsmithing. It's just different gunsmithing.
Absolutely. I will tell you though, the romantic in me. My father's a lawyer, but he grew up a coal miner. Spent a couple years in the mines to let him know that he didn't need to be doing that long term. But my kin, they work with their hands. I grew up in the middle of a city, and working in a machine shop were things that I didn't get the opportunity to do. So to me, the kind of the romantic idea of, taking a piece of bar stock and turning it into a barrel, of taking an old Mauser action and working it over till it's, shooting whatever caliber you chamber it to, and just hitting gnat swings. Those are the things that the romantic side of me thinks is what gunsmithing should be.
Right. And there's still some really good gunsmiths out there that do that. But there's an old joke that says, what's the difference between a pizza and a gunsmith? And the answer is a pizza can feed a family of 4. So the gunsmith needs to learn that bulk of that of those skill sets that maintain firearms, diagnose firearms, do the parts change, do the quick things, so that allows them the foundation to do exactly what you're talking about, which is the romantic stuff of the perfect wood, perfectly polished or color cased steel, and just making that old Winchester sing. So it's both of those skills are needed to be really good gunsmiths today.
Well, so Brownells is in a unique place right now, and you guys have really kind of grown into a number of aspects of the market that, in my recollection, are probably not much more than a decade old. Right now, what are the really just kind of phenomenally exciting things that you guys have going on in the inside of Brownells?
2 years ago, it was the AR-15 was the fantastic thing. And then it was of course, this new building. Today, the market is back down to kind of a normal market. So it's a lot of little things that are happening. It's really distribution for us. It's a more automated system, which means things will kind of go through the system faster, more accurately. So we're trying to get to 0 errors, and I'm sure we'll have some, but 0 errors. And get it done quickly, because it's an old joke. If I would have wanted this fixed tomorrow, I would have come in tomorrow, type of joke. So customer wants something today, they order it today, they want it today. They're just tolerating that somebody can ship. It only takes a day to ship. So we want to be able to get things out same day, and that means more speed. As we grow, we need to scale. So a new warehouse, new systems for getting things out quicker. So that's kind of exciting for us. International, it's pretty exciting for us. We have a lot of European and Australia and South Africa customers who are saying, we want everything Brownells can get domestically. Well, getting that figured out, it's been quite a jigsaw puzzle. So that's exciting, figuring that out. We have a new program called the Edge program, which is Brownells Edge, which is well, really what it is if you know about Prime with Amazon, that's really what this is. It's starting off as a shipping program where basically $49 and it's free shipping on every order that year. And that's, sometimes bullets are heavy, so it's a good deal. So it's a program that's doing real well for us, and I would encourage everybody out there to take a look at it, at least. Brownells Edge. It's going to grow into some other things. So you also get first peek at whatever comes in that, we know it's kind of hot. So 22 ammo, it's kind of hot right now. You get first peek at that stuff before it sells out. So Edge members are going to get first look, free shipping. I think we're still running a discount or a promo on it. I think you get in line for an Ed Brown pistol, I think. Is that what it
really
is? STI, I'm sorry. Another good name. STI pistol. So a lot of good things happening on the Edge program. Gosh, what else? We're doing a 308 magazine. So,
Yeah.
yep. So we've got that out there. We did the 223 magazine about 8-9 years ago as a contract with the Army, and now it's we're doing a 308 mag. So that's coming out. Let's see what else we got. Got an M16 barrel, 16A1 barrel, chrome line barrels. It's kind of the AR-15 accessory stuff, that core stuff. A bolt. See, a bolt's always first thing that goes out on parts when AR-15s go hot and they're just flying off the shelf. The very first thing in the aftermarket that goes is the bolt and the bolt carrier, more specifically. So we're making sure that that doesn't happen to us again. It's happened 4 times in the last 20 years. So, and we know it'll happen again. So we're trying to get kind of the core components for those custom AR builders in stock and more controlled. And it's working. So it's a good time to get involved in the AR market for us.
Well, let me ask you a question. So on the products that Brownells is manufacturing, are these is manufacturing necessarily Brownells opening facilities where you control the components of production, or are you entering in with partnerships with people that can provide the kind of room for the production you need? Are you going to bring production in-house if it isn't? Tell me about that.
So I can tell you we suck at manufacturing. So we really want to partner with people who know who they are and they know manufacturing. We know who we are, and I've learned over the last 20 years over a couple of false starts that we're not a manufacturing facility. We don't know it. We don't understand it. Culturally, we're not. So we like to partner up with those people who already are manufacturers because they know it. Their whole culture is built around it. And it would be a huge shift for us to get into manufacturing. And it would be a disservice to both the employees who are distribution minded and those that we're trying to turn into manufacturing minded. So it'd just be bad medicine. We do partner up with as many local players as possible. A magazine is a local manufacturer, and he's fantastic with that kind of work, the stamping, the welding, the how you work with ferrous metals. So he's fantastic at that. So I don't want to say partner up, but we truly are intellectually partners. But we own the intellectual property.
Right.
And that's really where we think our skill set is somewhat in the design, in the intellectual property for the manufacturing facilities, so they're not stuck with anything, and they do what they're great at, which is manufacture. And our job is to sell it and make sure that it continues to keep their machines running. So we like partnerships in that area much better than actually ownership, because we don't do well there.
Well, go ahead, Pete.
No, and we realize that we're not good at that. So and these partners are all over the nation, frankly. So again, it's still mom and pop, entrepreneurial American dream type of culture. We like that.
Well, so I believe you mentioned before we got started that this year seems to be the year of the AR accessory. So with your intellectual property approach and the partnerships you've made, do you see Brownells coming in a more specific way, providing M-Lock components, key mod components, providing some of that gap where the demand for those things that you see keeps everybody's inventory at 0 or back order to kind of take the pressure off?
Our first look is to see what partner out there is the best one. I shouldn't say partner. Because that connotates the wrong thing. Who is doing the best work out there that just may need a little bump? Say we have a synthetic stock idea. We'd first go to Magpul, because we don't want to compete with Magpul. We don't want to compete with Ed Brown, Bill Wilson, STI, DPMS, right? We don't want to compete with the great partners we have in the supply chain. So if we see a gap out there, we'll first go into maybe an exclusive with a already existing supplier like ER Shaw. There's We have Shaw barrels. We'll have a DPMS widget because it helps them get over their investment curve, and then they can go to the market, and they're providing a great brand, identifying item for their brand, and we have first distribution look at it, and then after that, all boats rise again, and the customer benefits from it. So we'll first go there, and if there's something that the customer or the supplier isn't willing, the customer really still wants it, then we come into where we'll take a look at it. Now, if it's a mil spec product, an AR-15 mag is one of those. We just didn't see a mil spec partner out there who wanted to take on the project, so we did it. And I frankly think we produced one of the better mil spec metal mags out there, and the soldiers would stand by it. So we wanted a 0 failure rate for that one. The same with the 308. If they're going to be used in the arena of war, there's zero defects allowed. That means lives. We take that same mentality when we talk about other things. We're known for tools, so we try to develop tools. And when there's somebody out there who's already got like a line of tools, like oh gosh, trying to think of a couple of players out there where we'll give some idea, and we interchange ideas back and forth. Drawing a complete blank. Who's it's got the curly mustache? Bill Lawford, cylinder and slide. Great design guy. So Bill will have a good idea, and we'll say, yeah, we think that has market. And Bill's got a great market direct as well. So
Right.
So a little interchange there, and we'll help with that type of stuff, and we'll help distribute. But we want to be the one known for tools, and we'll develop a lot of those things.
I'll tell you, my stepfather has a set of Brownells screwdrivers.
Yep.
And he has had them for years. And he used to do the gun show circuit, and his number one rule was you cannot borrow my screwdrivers.
Right. Keep your hands off my tools, right? Well, that was a philosophy from way back when. You get what you pay for. And so we're unapologetic about the quality and as such the price. But we guarantee it forever. So if there's any nicks, scratches, or broken tips on your grandfather's or father's screwdriver set, we replace it, no questions asked. So,
I think that's a phenomenal position to take as a company.
Yeah. Well, yeah, if you're going to put out junk, you can't make that promise, but we want to put out good quality stuff. That's because the first time that you booger up a screw on somebody's gun and it leaves a good gouge in the action, you got a lot of explaining to do, both as a supplier and as the gunsmith. So we want to make sure it's good quality stuff. So,
well, tell me, what else exciting is at Brownells going on that you want to let our listeners know about? Because we're always tooting the Brownells horn.
Well, I appreciate it. Let me take a look.
We get to go straight to the top today.
Yeah. Oh, we got a new website that we're working on. Maybe that's where we're working on a new website. One of the biggest critiques that we get is, man, this is awesome. We have 110,000 items to choose from. And it's, man, this is awesome, but I couldn't find this, whatever it is. And there's 10 different things 10 different ways to name one thing. And we got to figure that out so the customer finds the right thing at the right time. And our website it always needs improvement. So we're working on a new website. And we're working on an international websites in local languages too, and local pricing. So
when do you think that'll be rolling out?
well,
I'll take that back.
It'll be sometime in 2016, probably. We're promising it's going to be quick, but man, I've been through this 4 or 5 times, and it's always longer than you think. So we want to do it after the big sell season, which is basically a year from now. We want to do it right. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. It should be pretty cool. And you'll see it won't be a ta-da, here it is. It'll be a kind of a blended release, because that's the best way to do it. Add a new feature, and all of a sudden a year from now, it looks totally different.
Well, I want to tell you, when I get on to the website, I'm usually looking for components, and I've bought some lower receivers. So I know that you guys handle the FFL side of things, is there going to ever be a time when Brownells is going to be an end user stop for a full firearm?
There will be, and that's a delicate line because we want to make sure that local gun shop is still well supported. We don't ever want to compete with them. So selling firearms direct, we've got to make sure that it still supports that local gun shop. And there's ways to do it, but we've got ideas. We just want to make sure it's well thought out and very respectful in its process to the local gun shop. And we're real critical about our actions that impact the local gunsmith. And we don't make those decisions lightly. So we got to make sure it's going to work at our retail store. We're trying to figure out how to do that, hopefully yet this year.
Pete, I want to tell you that in our conversation, one thing has really struck me about everything that you said and everything that you've represented about Brownells, and it's that idea of corporate responsibility, that as a good corporate citizen, it's not always about making sure the pockets are lined as best you can. And it just seems to me that what you've been able to do for 76 years now is 76, right?
Yeah, 76.
Is make sure that you're benefiting not just the people that work for you, but the people who buy from you, the industry that thrives because of you, and all of the people that are associated with it. And, honestly, I think that's one of the big reasons why I appreciate being able to tell our listeners about Brownells and everything that you guys do.
Thanks for saying that. It's, family values are critical to success. It's taken 76 years to be an overnight success. It'll take another 76 to become a real success. And if you falter on values once, it all comes crashing down. So, you're built on the shoulders of giants. And if you betray those values that it started off with, you're going to fall pretty far and pretty hard. So we never want to trade in our values, and we realize that it's the people that matter the most, not the balance sheet. So that's what we try to exemplify every day. We don't always walk away successful with that, but we certainly try.
Well, Pete, that is awesome. So I want to leave you with the last word. What do you want to tell our listeners about Brownells or anything related to the gun world?
That's open-ended. Let me see. I would say that go outside, exercise your Second Amendment with your family, go pull a trigger at the range, take somebody new out and show them the joy of the outdoors. Put your cell phone, your iPhone away. Don't take it out of the car, and just enjoy being with friends and family outside hunting or fishing or competing or enjoying the outdoors.
All right. Listeners, we're proud to have been able to bring you Pete Brownell. Thank you, Pete. We appreciate you coming on.
Yeah. Take care.
Well, guys, we're back from the break. I had an awesome time interviewing Pete Brownell. I think he is a prince among men, just an excellent executive, and I'm really excited to hear that he's going to be rotating into the presidency of the NRA here. So I think it's going to be an awesome experience to watch Pete Brownell step into that role and kind of lead the NRA in this next little bit.
Yeah, for sure. That can only be a good thing for the organization.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it'll be amazing.
So Otis Technology has provided us some awesome stuff. And you, our listeners, have been getting out to our Facebook site. And Anthony, has it been, what's the picture thingy that we're affiliated with? Is it not Google? What's the...
Oh, Instagram? Yeah, we haven't.
Instagram.
Yeah,
There
we
you
haven't
go.
moved over to Instagram yet. We've been sticking to Facebook. I'll transition to Instagram shortly.
So we've had you guys get on Facebook and like our pictures, and so this week we want to let you know that for the April 20 giveaway, Eric Strong is going to get some goodies out of the grab bag. So we had Chad Godin. He got our MSR kit for March, and Mike Moorer got an MSR kit for April. And so Michael Sheldon, Nathan Sanders, Eric Strong, you guys get some goodies out of the grab bag. And so we do want to get some information. And Anthony, who do we have addresses for right now? Is it just Chad?
Yeah, that's the only one we've actually got addresses for. We discussed this the other last couple of weeks. Because we haven't been able to get addresses for a lot of guys, we're asking them to contact us. Some of the guys we can't actually message on Facebook. Some of them are not responding to the messages. They go into your other folder on Facebook. Some people don't check that. Maybe they don't get on Facebook that much. They got on, long enough to go in and like and share the picture, and then they're not getting back on, or something along those lines. So we're asking them to contact us on Facebook. So you guys, if you have seen your name announced, we're posting it on Facebook as well. So we're asking you guys to contact us on Facebook. We're also sending you a message, but we're asking you to contact us back on Facebook as well.
Yep, that's how we know that your neighbor isn't claiming your kit, because I'm sure your neighbor would really like to have it. Well, JW, Anthony, maybe we can figure out a way to post a ever-increasing list of winners at the top of the Facebook page and not have that look annoying. I don't know. We'll see.
Or you could just send me the case of them, and I could probably find a place to put them.
Yeah, there's always that. All right, guys, you heard JW. You better write in, let us know what your address is, or JW is going to dispense with them accordingly.
Yeah.
So we want to remind you that the fine folks at Otis Technology have sent over just a mountain of rifle maintenance tools and cleaning kits for the AR-15 and AR-10s. We've been tasked with giving them away, so watch for the special posts on Facebook and soon Instagram to get a chance to win some of the awesome products made by Otis Technology. So we'll be giving away a complete MSR cleaning kit in either 5.56 or 7.62 in the middle of each month up until Christmas, when we'll give away a complete Otis Technology Elite cleaning system to one lucky winner. And so during the alternating weeks, we'll be giving away a host of Otis tools and cleaning supplies. And very soon here, we're going to be getting the Otis Star Chamber cleaning tool. So anybody who's tried to clean the chamber to your AR understands the pain that we've all gone through. So Otis is trying to address that.
It's a dark, dirty place.
It is. All right. So let's crawl out of those dark, dirty places and get back to some feedback where we can see what's been going on with the listeners lately. I know it's been kind of a crazy, hectic, 4 weeks? We've had NRA show. We've had everybody just going hither and yon, doing this and that. And so let's kind of touch base. So, Anthony, why don't you start off here with the beginning?
Yeah, we had this posted on Facebook actually about, half an hour ago. So I made it in just before we started recording the show. Tim C. posted on our Facebook page, I heard Anthony talking about the CMC triggers. He says he bought one of their flat ones for $150 for the $150 deal at last year's show. I love it. When I found out this year's deal was $130, I bought another one as fast as I could get my credit card down. Trigger for trigger, their trigger and price can't be beat. So yeah, I got a chance to stop by the CMC booth at the NRA show, and I liked it. I really liked that flat trigger, and it was really nice. And I got a chance to go to the range this weekend, and my trigger finger did remember the CMC trigger quite a bit, and I have to say it was much nicer than my factory trigger. I really did like it quite a lot. Yeah.
Well, let's see. Ken wrote in a while back about not being able to get some of the old back catalog. So we have been feverishly downloading the old back catalog onto a local unit, and we're going to see about putting some of those compilations on a thumb drive. So for anybody who's interested in getting one of our thumb drives with the entire back catalog, why don't you express your interest? Anthony, what would be the most technologically savvy way of doing that? Email, Facebook, like something?
Probably just send an email. Honestly,
no.
that may be the easiest way.
I'm going to have you go to something on Facebook so you can like it, and that'll give us just a rough idea of who likes the idea of getting a thumb drive with 122 episodes of me listening to myself talk.
Alrighty.
Let's see. JW, you want to take the next one here?
Yeah, this is from Nathan DY. He says, "Hey guys, I wanted to point out that in episode 121 you talked about the NRA show being like a gun show and people can buy guns. He says that actually you cannot buy, sell, or trade guns at the NRA show. You can, however, buy accessories and place orders for accessories there. The firing pins are even removed from all the firearms on display. I just wanted to point that out because some people think it's just a gun show. Great podcast as always, and thanks for what you do."
Well, thanks for writing in, Nathan. We strive for accuracy.
That's my fault. I thought I might have heard a couple of guys talking about purchasing, but they probably were talking about arranging for purchases, like I'll be buying off your website or something like that. But everybody was buying so many accessories, and I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off, plus all of almost the no sleep because of our really scary house situation. So yeah, I'm not surprised that I got it wrong. Thank you for correcting it. Appreciate it.
All right. So Jamie H. says he's been listening to the podcast for over a year, and he finds it one not to miss. He's taken a local gunsmithing course and has decided to build another AR. He's built several carbine ARs in the past, so he wants to build an 18-inch SPR type of weapon. He says he's having issues finding a barrel. Please advise me on my options. You know, I think the SPR in its 18-inch rifle-length gas system is not a unicorn per se, but it's one of the harder configurations to find. And I think it's probably because there are so few people that are going that route. JW, have you tried to find one?
No, I think all my, like, Title 1, is that what it is? Title 1, Title 2? My non-SPR guns are all 14.5s. I haven't really went the long route. I know a couple guys that have Mark 12 builds, but yeah, I mean, if I wanted something to really reach out and touch somebody, I'd probably go with a bigger caliber and do like an AR-10 style build with a 308. But if you want a precision gun, you can definitely get that with a 5.56. I know the 20-inch barrels are pretty popular for that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, the big manufacturers do 18-inch guns. You can probably get a Colt or Daniel Defense or something like that with an 18-inch on it.
And, you know, I'm thinking that with Brownells and their new lineup of AR barrels, I think they have an 18-inch with a rifle-length gas system. You know, of course, whether or not it's in stock is another issue, but, you know, certainly I think that Brownells is a good starting point. I think if you go to the higher end, you're probably going to find plenty of people that will go that route. Once again, stock may be an issue, but if push comes to shove, I'd go with the custom and order one to your specs and even have them, you know, machine a bolt to your barrel and get it all trued up so you have something that's just a little better than the out-of-the-box mil-spec parts you're going to find in a lot of the retailer sites. But that would be my recommendation. So,
yeah, I just looked at Daniel Defense. They've got the 18-inchers.
Is it carbine?
I mean, they're under
or rifle length.
They got some mid-length and they got some rifle length, so you can choose. They're under $300. So
yeah, no,
they're out there.
You got Daniel Defense, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
See, I've already got one. I love their rifle barrels. They're good. So, Anthony, you want to try to take this next one?
Sure. Let's see. We are at.
Actually, just before we move on, I know Anthony put a video up with the Dana Defense guys with their new V11 Pro, I think it was. That's actually an 18-inch barrel, if I remember right. If you want to go that way, they've got full guns, they've got uppers, and I'm sure those are good shooters because I know they're made for kind of the three-gun world.
All right. From Shoebox 56 writes in and says, glad you all briefly brought up Olympic AR pistol carbines. They're underrated and overlooked, unlike the Colt AR pistol calibers. The Olympic AR pistol caliber uppers can be used with an existing 223 AR lower. Olympic sells polymer magazines to fit standard AR lower, or you can get Han Magwell block and use Sten magazines. I'm not sure what Sten magazines are. I think Olympic is the only ones that have 10mm uppers as well.
I think I'd go
Very
for
interesting.
10mm.
That could be an interesting rifle, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or I guess it'd be a pistol, but
No, it's a rifle.
yeah.
So,
Sten guns are awesome though. So.
yeah.
So explain to me what a Sten gun is.
It's one of
Traditional
those
Sten.
submachine guns from World War II that's basically just a metal tube with a open bolt lever that lets it sing, and it's got the magazine that shoots out the side, out the left side.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
It's pretty awesome.
Extra good for prone long range shots.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Go rent Force 10 from Navarone. There you go.
Gotcha.
The big red one. There's a bunch of them. Let's see. JW, you want to take the next one here?
Yeah. Let's see. Bob L. says, Reed, thanks for all you do in producing an amazing podcast. Cast and crew included. I have listened since the beginning. I know there's an endless amount of subject matter for our black rifles, but I thought I would pass this along. A friend of mine who's an aeronautical engineer called me one day and asked if I would research the merits of a big bore AR. After all, I'm retired and have more time, right? Specifically, he was interested in the 458 SOCOM versus the 450 Bushmaster. I personally had no interest in either until I dug in and started looking. I think the stories of their development are incredibly interesting and think that some interviews with their respective developers would make great shows. Tim Legendre, the creator of the 450 Bushmaster, I guess he goes by 450 Professional, he actively posts on the 450bushmaster.net forum under the call of Wildcatter, and I believe Tony Rumor of Tromix was involved in the SOCOM development. He's also on the same website under Tony Rumor. I believe both would be willing. Additionally, I believe that interviews would be of value just due to their historical significance. Some aspects, if SAMI spec, parent cartridge, bullet differences, ammo availability, cost, max effective range, required components for conversion, the pros and cons of straight-walled cases versus bottlenecked cases. And then there's some recent changes he's talking about from Michigan and Ohio with their hunting laws. Another interview he'd love to listen to would be with Bill Alexander on the development of the 6.5 Grendel and the 50 Beowulf. P.S. Love the Faxon segment. Keep up the good work. Thanks again.
We know. I think we may have to get Anthony on that and have him start lurking on the forums and see if you can't throw an invitation out to him.
Yeah, I don't really know anything about those big ones. Every once in a while I see one at a gun show with big flashy posters, and it's like, OMG, you can have a 50 cal in an AR. Yeah, I think 458 SOCOM is one that you can jam like 10 rounds into a normal AR mag.
Right.
I don't know.
Stack.
450 Bushmaster is similar, but that's always wacky to see. A big 30-round magazine that's just jam-packed with only 10 rounds.
Well, I think that we could. I know that we had the SOCOM and the Beowulf and the Grendel on our to-do list of caliber ARs, and I know that we've had a lot of topics kind of fill the production sheets, and so I think maybe we should go back and try to get a couple more caliber-specific AR shows in this year. So
yeah, that's a great idea, Bob.
Excellent. Well, I'll take the next one. Looks like D.W. Taylor writes in, I recently got bitten by the black rifle bug. I discovered your podcast right after you closed registration for the latest giveaway. Missed by that much. I appreciate the humble approach you take to your audience. We are all newbies at one time in this field. I would have left more feedback, but I can only do that on my mobile devices through my Facebook logon, and I do not have a Facebook account. Don't want one either. Let's see. 6.5 Grendel, I have not heard you speak much of this in the AR configuration, pros, cons. Bob just talked about that. I am thinking about building an upper that I can use for deer this fall. I've heard this is a good round for larger game. You talk about the 300 Blackout. How do they compare? Are they similar, totally different purpose and intent? Thanks for the weekly show. I haven't missed one since I started. Listen on Stitcher and often download so I can listen on the plane as I fly to work. JW, tell me what your thought is, but I'd say that a 300 Blackout in a 125 grain bullet, full charge, supersonic, I'd take it out in a 16-inch carbine configuration and shoot deer with it.
Yeah, that's the only thing I've shot a deer with an AR platform. It was I think a 110 grain Barnes TAC TX, one of those black tips, and it dropped them. So that was just a 16-inch suppressed 300 Blackout upper.
Well, if you do get the tax stamp, get yourself a can. I think it makes for a much more enjoyable hunting outing, since you're not ringing your bell every time you take a shot.
Yep.
That's another one for the Grendel there, so we might have a groundswell from these 2 listeners of our 4 asking for Grendel. So I think we'll have to put that one on the front of the list.
Yeah, I think the Grendel has some advantages when you're stretching it out a little further as far as higher BC and things like that.
Well, Anthony, you want to let us know what we have here by way of, I'm assuming these are Instagram?
Yeah, they are. So we have yep, and they're Grammy and they're instant and they're picture stuff. We did have somebody that asked on Facebook. I wanted to make a note that where should we post our pictures? Should we post them here or post them on Instagram? And you guys post them either place. Does not matter to me. We have lots and
post them
both
everywhere.
Yeah, just flood the internet with pictures.
Well, no,
like
it's not that.
Already done like that.
It's that I'm like a step behind these guys, and so I know they want Instagram, but I'm just barely at Facebook. Okay, I want to get left into.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Either place is cool with me. This first picture comes from Godly Bowman 88, and it's apparently he's got a new Faxon Firearms 18-inch 1 1/8 SOCOM barrel that he has put on his rifle. He says the machining was much cleaner than the previous brand that he was using, and he's really excited to pull the trigger. And he's got a picture of his rifle up there. It's quite a nice looking little rifle. He's got some nice 45-degree offset sights. Looks like a nice little optic on there, a bipod. It's quite a nice looking little rifle there. So. Be excited to see if he reports back anything, and will tag us on maybe some pictures when we get out to the range and gets to try it. Second picture.
Before you move on,
yeah,
I would take a guess that is a mid-length gas system. JW,
looks like it.
Thoughts? 18-inch barrel?
I can't quite see under that handguard.
Well, Godly, let us know if that's a mid-length or a carbine or a rifle length, and we're all just wrong.
Well, he's got an interesting piece of 45-degree rail sitting there. You guys see that?
I wonder what he puts there.
I don't know. A light or something, maybe?
Maybe a red dot used to sit there.
Maybe.
Could be.
Or
Anyway.
flamethrower.
Yeah, flamethrower. There you go. Our next piece and final piece of Instagram feedback comes from Wally Gator, who is a very regular contributor to our feedback here on Instagram. He says, it's a beautiful, beautiful day at the range. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. Feel like I'm going to sing. Got several tags he stuck on here. Stamp collecting, M11, AR-15, Gem Tech, suppressor, and 22. So I also see, let's see, there's a hex mag in there. I do see some suppressors on here. Looks like probably a little red dot action going on there.
Yeah, it looks like he's got matching red dots.
Yep.
Now, wait a minute. 22. Would you call a 223 a 22, or do they make an M11 in a 22 caliber?
I don't know. I mean, he's got a mega lower there on his AR.
So, yeah, I don't think that's a 20. Well, what about a conversion? It wouldn't be good with a 1 7-inch, 1 8-inch barrel. It's too fast. You need like a 1 16.
On the left there, is that a bullpup kit or something?
No, that's a
No.
Mac 11 with a AR.
Maybe
stock.
that's got a 22 kit on it?
Yeah, maybe it's not a transferable. Maybe it's just a 22.
Civilian legal 22.
They're
Although,
all civilian legal, man. They're all civilian legal.
you know what? I would bet that has to be a transferable. Otherwise, he would have had to make it an SBR.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. It's like,
So-
what's the point of SBRing a 22?
Exactly.
Well, you got a
That-
point.
But if it's transferable, he can put all the SBR stuff he wants on it.
Yep, yep.
So,
And he may have meant to type 223.
ah,
Could be, it
there
could
we
be
go.
a typo. You know.
all right, we're
When in doubt, add more hashtags.
Yep.
there. You go. All right, well, guys, that's another great episode, and
Yep,
That's it.
hope you enjoyed our interview with Pete Brownell. I think he is just really a great stand-up guy. I want you to know that a lot of what he said in the interview forms the reason why we enjoy our relationship with Brownells and why I continue to go back time and time again. So with that, send us any questions or comments you might have to feedback@ar15podcast.com. You can also send us a recorded voicemail by using the SpeakPipe plugin on the right-hand side of the AR-15 podcast website. And to the last guy who tried to leave us a voicemail, it came across as static. We were all very disappointed. JW even used a frowny face emoticon. So. You can subscribe and listen to the AR-15 podcast for free in iTunes or Stitcher. And you can leave us a review on either so that the show can be placed higher in the searches for new potential listeners looking for AR-15 podcasts. Share your pics with us on Instagram at AR-15 podcast and tag your pictures with hashtag AR-15 podcast. All right, take it away, Anthony.
Well, Reed, you throw stuff at me, and I'm actually trying to post about the winner. Where were you at?
Follow us on
Google Plus or watch us live when we are actually doing live. Since this was a pre-recorded interview, we are not broadcasting this live right now at plus.google.com +AR-15 podcast. AR-15 podcast, that is. Check out our YouTube page at youtube.com/C/AR-15 podcast. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/AR-15 podcast, or check out all the other great podcasts on the Firearms Radio Network at firearmsradio.tv. Don't forget to use our Brownells affiliate link for all of your AR-15 parts at ar15podcast.com/parts. And use the Amazon affiliate link for anything else that you might be needing to buy, whether it's a blanket or a set of paper towels or anything else you might be getting from Amazon, a book or anything like that, by going to firearmsradio.tv/Amazon right before you purchase. So that does give us a teeny tiny little bit of slice of that pie and does not make you pay anything different whatsoever.
All right. Well, guys, another great show. It's good to see you all again. Thanks for covering the bacon the last couple episodes. You guys have been pulling a great couple of shows out of your careers, and I just feel so proud that you're following in my footsteps.
That's all we know how to do. We just win every day.
There you go.
Bingo.
All right. We'll see all of you listeners next week. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.
This has been a production of the Firearms Radio Network. You can find more information at firearmsradio.tv.